Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Marvel's Get Fury issues 1 and 2 by Garth Ennis and Jacen Burrows. These are from Marvel's Max line of comics, and the character versions that Garth Ennis is writing here are his Max versions of the Punisher and Nick Fury. I'm a big fan of those comics. Going all the way back to the original Punisher Max series, as well as Fury My War Gone By, Fury Max My War Gone By. Very big fan of those versions of the characters which don't interact with the broader Marvel universe, and which avoid any kind of fantasy type elements. They're situated squarely in 20th century history, real history, and that's why I like them. Also, they pull no punches in terms of language and graphic violence as well. So that's something to look out for. But what I find about these comics is they're both historically informative as well as entertaining as comics. My view is that Garth Ennis, when he's writing these stories, is drawing on some of the best war movies ever made, in part for his visualization of the characters and the environments they find themselves in, whether it's Cambodia, whether it's Vietnam, and other type environments. So films like Apocalypse Now, Oliver Stone's Platoon, very much informing the vision of these characters in the context of historical wars and battles. So what I'm going to do in this particular video is, these comics are on sale right now. This one, issue 1, came out in May of 2024. This came out in June of 2024. So I'm not going to go through every single page of these issues. I've picked out the first 2/3 of this comic as something that I can go through with you, because it gives you the basic setup and also the first scene in this second issue. And on the basis of that, really, I am recommending that you buy these comics if you find this review intriguing or interesting. It's really, really well done, in my opinion. And I know that the viewership for my channel is primarily people in the age group of between 30 and 50 years old. So you might want something mature in the way of your comics, and this really fits the bill, in my opinion. So I'm going to focus in on the first issue to begin with here. The very first thing to mention, and some of you will probably already have twigged to it, is that this is an homage to the cover of Amazing Spider-Man number 129, which is the one that introduced the Punisher. The cover is by Dave Johnson, but he's also worked in his little thank you to Gil Kane and John Romita. That's John Romita Sr., who were the artists behind that cover of Amazing Spider-Man 129. So here we have the Punisher as on that cover, but in his sights is not Spidey, it's Nick Fury, and he's bound here, and he's got some NVA, North Vietnamese soldiers around him too. So what is going on, and why is he in the Punisher's gun sights? Well, let's open the issue up. It's got a really nice opening. So this character here will be familiar to readers of the Max line of comics. In particular, he shows up in Fury Max My War Gone By, as well as Punisher The Platoon, another Max title from 2018, that one came out. So he introduces himself here. At this point, we've seen him at different ages in his life, when he was young, when he was middle-aged, when he was older, and now here he is in his 90s. My name is Lee Trong Jap, he says. My wars began when I was 12. I fought the Japanese, the French, the Americans, the Cambodians, the Chinese. I no longer recognize my country, Vietnam. The ideals for which I strove were lost along the way. I wait for death. Food and drink have lost their taste. No woman's touch inflames me. My crumbling body mocks my restless mind. All that remains is mischief. What an opening, what a hook for the opening of this. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. So chapter 1, Sweet Bird of Truth. And we turn the page. We got a wonderful double page spread here as Lee Trong continues with his monologue. He's recording himself. I have known countless soldiers, enough to man a dozen armies. yet two I always wander back to, both conundrums, both such sublime expressions of the very soul of war as to stagger God in heaven. They are Americans, which should come as no surprise. And here they are. First up, Nick Fury. Colonel Nick Fury found his calling in the 20th century's greatest charnel yards. Frank Castle sealed his fate in stone at a place of the damned called Firebase Valley Forge. So this is a story shown. This was a fight that took place in Cambodia in Fury Max, My War Gone By. And this is a reference back to Punisher Born, all the way back to 2003. A comic that Garth Ennis put out then, and that is famous since then as probably, you know, the most surprising origin of the Punisher, well before the massacre of his family in Central Park. And there you've got the Punisher logo hovering over this scene of absolute carnage. So you can see here what I mean by the way that the Max line of comics doesn't hold back on the graphic violence. Lee Trong continues and he says, of course, they came to Vietnam. I faced them both. Whatever ire I might have felt has long since faded. But try to kill a man and fail and understand he meant the same for you. It is a thing that leaves its own peculiar scar. I really love the colouring on this page too. In particular, the purples and mauves of the indicating the shadow points on the planes and surfaces of Lee Trong's aged face there. Really, really well done. And here we see him at his laptop. I still have sources, both military and inside government, not just my country's, those of former foes. I correspond with academics, media people, online malcontents. I sift through ancient records, interview participants, no matter how minor or peripheral, pull on threads. I look for those two names, and when they intersect, my old heart skips a beat. And then we get this nice close-up on his face here, and that smile on his face too. I'm a sucker for a good story and a little mischief, as I say. So what a great opening. And he will bookend or open every single chapter in the series. At least he does issue number 2 as well, and I'm assuming he'll do it through the other parts of the 6 issues, and I'm pretty sure we'll see him on the last page of issue 6 as well. And then we go to February 1971. It's Vietnam, and here we have, I like this, it's so cinematic. We've got the widescreen panel layout here. We have a what would I call it, like a distant shot of, as it turns out, Captain Castle up here. So this is Frank Castle on his 3rd tour of duty, and he has climbed the ranks of the Marine reconnaissance what would I call it, like outfit that he's part of. He's a recon Marine, and he's climbing the ranks. So he's moved up from the lieutenant that he was in platoon, which was his 1st tour of duty, and now on his 3rd he's captain already. And what is he doing? He's reading a letter from his wife Maria, and she's saying here, I think at this point actually she's not his wife yet, she's his girlfriend. And she says, and this is the 3rd time, my darling, the 3rd tour of duty in that dreadful place. Lisa's almost 4. Oh no, so they are married then, sorry. And soon you will be a father again. That's with Frank Jr. You say there is work still to do. You say your men need you, but so do we. Thanks. Sorry, Frank. All I want to know is when you're coming home. So there he is. He's got that heartfelt letter from his wife. She's pregnant with his child. He wouldn't in 1971, he wouldn't know that it's going to be a boy. I don't know if they had ultrasounds then or if they were common, but look at the detail here. We've got his rifle right beside him, ready to grab that with his right hand, and then this macabre skull up here over the entrance to the dugout here. And these two lads come along in their jeep and interrupt him reading the letter. Captain, we've got orders to... Is that a real skull? Asks this guy. And Frank says, team found it outside a bunker complex after we called in napalm. And you let them keep it? It's human remains? Good for morale. And I like the way that there's activity buzzing around the base. Like you've got this helicopter taking off there, flying overhead. Like this isn't just a a quiet scene. There's stuff going on in the art in the background. Helicopter, like a carrier copter here landing, and as I said, that one flying overhead. And so this guy here says, okay, we've got orders to shoot all the dogs. We're going around policing up the dogs. We're supposed to be taking them away to destroy them. Does anyone on your team have? And then this guy comes out out of the structure. No dogs here, he says, just indeed as he's carrying one. Oh well, you see, they're worried about rabies going around. There have been reports. And right so, Marine, if you can just hand that over, we'll take care of it for you. We got a nice close-up on how cute this little dog is. So how's this going to go? The guys come out and he said, no dogs here. This true, Captain? And Castle says, rabies, I don't know. But the MPs have their orders. Well, I tell you what, you take care of Sammy here and I'll take care of you. And he's got his rifle ready. Are you serious? Asked this guy. Come on, Captain, are you going to allow this shit? Says this guy. What shit? What? Let me lay something on you two. Nice close-up here. Only goddamn thing I can find it in me to love in Nam is Sammy. Only goddamn thing in Nam loves me is Sammy. So you say you come to shoot the dog? Who you really here for? Wow. And the look on his face as well. He means business. Now, I love in the colouring too how this MP, he's going red in the face with rage. Marine, you better listen to me. You stand down right now. And this other guy says, Sarge, let's just go. But he's not having it. He's getting he's up to 90 with rage. So he says to Captain Castle, so long as you're a law unto yourselves and military discipline means nothing, Captain, go on. Says Frank, you won't mind if I say you recon people are just a bunch of assholes. You wouldn't be the first, is his laconic response. No, I bet I wouldn't. So the guy's just going off. He says, I got a bro in the 1-1. He says, they're always pulling your patrols out of the shit. You go out there, you do your weird special forces black magic bullshit, whatever it is you get up to, you run into trouble, of course, and then it takes a major operation to get you out. And he continues, they have to send dozens of grunts. He said it was 10 fully loaded slicks the last time. That means gunships too, and medivacs. All those guys risking their lives, taking casualties, KIA, just to set up an LZ, a landing zone, for when you heroes come out of the bush with every gook in I-Corps right on your asses. So what does Castle say? I love just how red he is in the face as well. Your bro mentioned, we're the only ones anyone knows what Charlie's doing out there, says Castle. Yeah, or are you the reason Charlie's so stirred up in the first place? And now a Jeep arrives, but it was set up in this particular panel. Here it is arriving, and Castle sees it, which is why we've got this point of view from behind him. He's only half interested in the conversation below him, and the Irite sergeant, military police sergeant, his real attention is on this arriving Jeep. So you have a sense of Castle as hyper aware of what's going on in the environment, for any threats, anything interesting going on. Look at the way he's got his rifle slung over his shoulder as well as he's about to come down the wooden stairs. And the guy in the Jeep says, Captain Castle, Major's orders, sir. I'm supposed to drive you up to the flight line. And he comes down the stairs, so cool and calm. 1 minute. And now this guy's having regrets. If you want to prefer Chargers, Captain, well, you're not getting the dog, says Castle, so let's just split the difference, as you were, Sergeant. And the two lads go away, empty-handed. But what a great little scene, establishing Castle, Frank Castle, as super calm, collected, completely in control of the situation, loyal to his men rather than the military police, but not bearing any grudge against them doing their job. Great characterization here. And as I said, just a great visual, intelligent storytelling from Jacen Burrows as well, in the way that he's keeping command of the whole scene on this army base. And then Castle asks the operative question, Major, say anything else? Just a pack of bags, sir. I think you're going all the way to Saigon. And then the scene switches. So somewhere out in the jungle, And we've got Nick Fury. This is Get Fury After All is the title of the comic. And one of the American soldiers with him says, "Colonel, who are these sons of bitches?" "Hard to say," says Fury. "Our friends who picked us up at the wreck, they might be Khmer Rouge. Then again, I'm pretty sure we just crossed into Laos, so they could be bandits, some kind of scum. The new boys, though," and here they are definitely NVA, North Vietnamese Army. So they're getting handed over to the NVA, and that's not going to be good at all. Let's get past the ads here. Great colouring on these pages as well. Great use of digital colours where the black line art is still clear and distinct, and so the colouring really gives us that environment of the jungle. And I love the way that the light is coming through, dappling the ground and the figures as well with a little bit of sunlight. So the exchange is made, and Fury says, "From the looks of things, I'd say we've just been sold." So Fury looks kind of cut up here, but more so his two compatriots as well. So what on earth has happened? Well, we'll find out a little bit more about it with Castle's interview with the Major in Saigon. Great establishing shot here of a street in Saigon with all the civilians. These women here talking with this American soldier, all the guys on motorcycles as well. Such a lot of detail in Burrows' art. Great command of perspective, really, really well done. So the conversation begins. "We understand that you have a prior association with the CIA's Colonel Nick Fury, that approximately 1 year ago you accompanied the Colonel on an operation to assassinate North Vietnamese General Lee Trong Giap. That was detailed in Fury Max, My War Gone By. We also understand that 2 months prior to that, at the behest of this agency, you interdicted an NVA unit 10 miles outside Hanoi. Their prisoner, Lieutenant General Edward Duncan of the US Air Force, was bound for incarceration and interrogation in the enemy capital, and you," and the guy's hesitating. "Is there a question?" asks Castle. Just look at the kind of expression on his face, how little he gives away. "Is there a question?" And the Major says, "None that would insult your intelligence." So the implication is that he annihilated everyone. And the implication too is that he killed the lieutenant as well before he could be interrogated in Hanoi. So the Major says, "You understand operational deniability or you wouldn't be here. You'll be wondering what one of these jobs or of yours has to do with the other. Hopefully these gentlemen will explain without undue delay." So these are CIA agents. "Thank you, General Mackey." Sorry, this isn't the Major, this is General. "Captain, what we're about to reveal to you is a matter of the highest secrecy." Now this guy here, his design, he looks a lot like Oliver Stone in this comic, but most especially in the next one. So I do think that Jacen Burrows was using Oliver Stone as a model for this CIA agent, which is interesting. And so Steve here says, and he's much like the Harrison Ford character in Apocalypse Now as well, so kind of nervous and nervy and young. He says, "This morning at 01:30 local time, all radio contact was lost with a Huey transport travelling west of the Cambodian border. Transponder signals indicate that the aircraft had crashed almost immediately thereafter." So the general's just listening, sucking on his cigar, saying nothing, staring intently at Castle while Castle stares back at him. A response team was scrambled, reaching the site at 0500. They only had time for a cursory examination before setting charges, due to the sensitivity of the location, but they reported engine failure as the most likely cause. Found dead at the wreck were the pilot and co-pilot, missing were the crew chief, the door gunner, and Colonel Fury. So now we know what was the context for Fury having been picked up by the Khmer Rouge or bandits, whichever one they were, and sold to the NVA. "We've strong reason to believe," the guy continues, but Castle just fills in and he jumps ahead to his understanding of what they want from him and the connection between those two missions above. "You want me to kill him." So the guy just basically pauses and says, "Oh," and his boss there says, "We see no other possible way to proceed." And the general there, nothing. He's just got his hands connected together on the table, smoking the cigar, saying nothing. Such a great scene. You can imagine it in film. You can imagine it working in a film. I think you can see the Oliver Stone look there a bit more. Obviously, it's Oliver Stone in the 1980s when he was younger, when he was directing Platoon more so. And so he says here, we've had overflights monitoring the locale by day. If Colonel Fury was free to act, he would have found a way to signal them. This close to the border with South Vietnam, he is in all likelihood already held captive by either guerrillas or MVA regulars. So he's got that right. That's why he works in intelligence. That means he's on his way to Hanoi. And once they get him on the Ho Chi Minh Trail through Laos, it will be impossible to locate him from the air. We'll try, says Steve. We've got patrols out, army long range reconnaissance as well as air, but it's already too late. And so this guy says we cannot take the chance that Colonel Fury might undergo interrogation by the enemy. As a security risk, he makes General Duncan look like an afterthought. Now the general gets up from his chair and the guy continues. He says he has knowledge of every operation the agency is currently running in Vietnam and its neighboring states. He knows the names of our operatives on both sides of the DMZ, the demilitarized zone, many risking their lives on deep cover assignments. A fraction of what they'll get out of him could put us back to square one in Southeast Asia. You know what they'll do to him. There's nothing they won't do to him. So I think this is the general speaking. That's why he's gotten out of the chair. I mean, he's obviously uneasy with the idea of killing Nick Fury, but there's no possibility of rescue. And he says he's probably the finest soldier the United States has ever produced, and he deserves a better end than that. So, you know, like, what they're imagining here is that Castle is going to shoot from long range Fury and then escape through the jungle. That's like the plan. So no chance of him getting him out alive, asks Castle. We considered it. If we could find him on the trail, it might be possible, but all the way up north, there'd be no chance. It would take a whole team just to reach him. They might get in, but how would they ever get out? The only thing that makes sense is to put a shooter in range of the one place we know he'll be. And so this guy continues, you're said to be the best shot currently in country. People still talk about what you did in Quang Nam province in '69. That was Castle's first tour of duty in Vietnam. And here the general said, the general is just smoking his cigar. It's important to emphasize, of course, that for obvious reasons, this mission will not officially exist. There'll be no orders cut, no paper trail. This is exactly like the opening of Apocalypse Now. But what we can tell you, Captain Castle, is that you'll be doing your country an enormous service. And you can see the look on Castle's face. And that's it. There's 6 more pages of the issue, but I'm going to stop there with the review because, as I said, this is currently on sale, and really what I want to give you is a sense of the setup for this storyline, and it's all there in these opening pages. Really interesting stuff. But what I do want to do as well is just show you the opening scene from issue number 2. So this came out in June, which is the month that I'm making this video in. So it's another cover here by Dave Johnson, and the interior artwork by Jacen Burrows. So we have here Lee Trong Jap, like I said earlier. He's continuing with his monologue into his recording device, talking about the general military situation in February 1971. And basically, what does he say here? He says, I strive for objectivity, but having faced them on the battlefield, some of their men fought well. Their senior, I'll start up here. Operation Lam Sung 719 was designed to demonstrate that the South Vietnamese military could fight on its own without direct American aid. It was a disaster. I strive for objectivity, but having faced them on the battlefield, some of their men fought well. Their senior officers were often farcical. They did their best, if that is not too damning. So he continues with a little bit of history there. Around this time, someone had another bright idea. With all that going on, surely the North would not detect a single aircraft bound for Hanoi. So turn the page, and on that single aircraft is Frank Castle, bound for Hanoi, as Lee Trong Jap says. But you can see all the explosions around them, all the anti-aircraft fire, and the pilot there says, "Who thought this was a good idea?" I'm censoring some of the language there because I don't want my video to get some kind of mature type label on it, and I want everybody to be able to watch the video potentially. So the title of this second chapter is Going Downtown, and here we have the creative team and a little blurb there. It's 1971 and Colonel Nick Fury has been captured by the Viet Cong. Garth Ennis writer, artist Jacen Burrows, and the color artist Nolan Woodard really deserves some praise for this. I think his work on the first and second issue is excellent, really good stuff. So let's continue with this little scene, another couple of pages, and then I'll end the review. So the pilot there is getting a call in. Bluebells are singing over. Aware of that, AWACS, thank you. Suggest evasive maneuvers, appreciated. Easy for him to say. The asshole's orbiting nice and safe over Thailand. Bluebells means fan song radars trying to lock us up. Means we could get a SAM up our ass. So a SAM is a surface-to-air missile. You like that. It's about the size of a telegraph pole and it goes at Mach 3.5. Listen, Captain, I'm going to do my best for you here, okay? I'm flying a profile to make us look like a recon bird, just so they ain't looking too close when you punch out. That thing is, that means straight and level, and then shit like some flak catches the windshield of the cockpit. So he continues, they must want you in there in a hell of a hurry. I mean, doing it this way is beyond insane. Want to make me feel better? At least tell me it's worth it. Hard to say, says Castle. Always cool as a cucumber is Frank Castle. It's classified, if that's any use. And the pilot responds, I was really just asking for my mother, Captain. Okay, whenever you like. So off goes the top of the cockpit cover and the ejector seat. Just such great detail. Like even look in this particular panel, all the technical aspects of the ejector seat are all drawn in there with perfect verisimilitude. It all looks so realistic. So here's Castle about to pull the ejector cord. Off pops the top of the cockpit of the plane, and out he goes. And you've got the seat separating there. You've got him falling to earth with his pack there as well. You've got the plane there in the background. Love the coloring on this page as well. That sense that it's evening time, so that Frank will be going up to Hanoi in darkness. And then last page that I'm going to show you in this review. So now his parachute pops out, and he is parachuting down to the jungle, and up goes the surface-to-air missile, and he pulls off his oxygen mask. Shit, he says. That surface-to-air missile is going straight for the plane he was just on. That pilot is dead. Mach 3.5. Wow, what an opening. So I do hope that you enjoyed this partial review and commentary on Get Fury. I think this is a great mini-series shaping up now. As I said, I'm a fan of Garth Ennis's work in the Max line of comics on both Punisher and Nick Fury. I think he does a great job. I hope you can see that from the pages that I've shown you and discussed in this review. So I really do think if you're in the mood for some good comics, this would be a series to make you go back to the comic store and pick it up. So there you go. I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary, partial commentary on these two comics. If you did, please like the video on YouTube. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.